And we are back. Welcome to my predictions for Premier League Game Week 25. Now, firstly, this is, of course, a double game week. We do have games on Tuesday and Wednesday. However, I am going to save those predictions for a separate video on Tuesday morning. So this video today is going to be covering all 10 Premier League fixtures, the traditional 10 Premier League fixtures taking place across Saturday, Sunday and Monday. So like I said, make sure to check out Tuesday morning's video for my predictions for the remaining game week fixtures. As for today though, if you haven't done so already, please do consider dropping a like on this video if you do enjoy these Premier League predictions, and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here so firstly you don't miss Tuesday's video, but also so you don't miss any of our European content, which will also be coming out next week. Champions League video I will do on Monday, and then Europa will be done on Thursday. Let's get straight into this weekend's Premier League action for you then right now. And we start off with the early kickoff on Saturday, and it is between Brentford and Liverpool. Now, Brentford, of course, have been playing a little bit better since the return of Ivan Toney. However, the results still haven't quite been coming for them. Liverpool, on the other hand, have been winning well recently. A little bit sloppy still defensively, but the goals are starting to flow. And this week, Mo Salah returned to full training. So it's a question of whether or not he will be available on Saturday. Right now, I'm going off the assumption that he isn't. But to be honest, I think regardless, it's not going to make too much difference. I am going to go for a 3-1 win to Liverpool to kick off the weekend. The first of many 3 o'clock kickoffs this weekend sees Burnley taking on Arsenal. Now, if there are any Arsenal fans watching, which I'm sure there are, this would be the most Arsenal fixture to lose. After all of their good performances recently, the win against Liverpool 6-0 away at West Ham, it would be very classic Arsenal to then not get the win against Burnley here. I'm not going to do that. I think Burnley are still not playing that good football at the moment. Arsenal are probably in their best form of the season so far, and I think this is a great opportunity for Arsenal to continue that run of form. I'm going to go for a 3-0 win. I don't really see Burnley scoring. Arsenal look very good defensively at the moment, and as I said, especially going forward as well. So for me, comfortable win for Arsenal. I'm going for 3-0. Next up is a slightly more interesting one. We've got Fulham taking on Aston Villa. Now, Fulham have been turning their performances around again recently. Aston Villa played better against Manchester United than they have done in recent games, but were still not able to get the job done. So the question really is, can Aston Villa find their scoring form once again? And I'm not so sure. I think this is going to be a tough game. I think it's going to be an open game. I think both sides are going to score goals. But as things stand right now, I can't really split them. So I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw. That then brings us to Newcastle taking on Bournemouth. And to be honest, there's been a bit of a fall-off for Bournemouth again in recent weeks. Yes, the results haven't been too severe, but overall, it's just not been very good from them. And I think Newcastle are playing some good stuff again at the moment. As we keep saying, they're getting more and more players back from injury, and the results are coming as a counterpart for it. So for me, this should be a game that Newcastle win, especially at home. Yes, they did have that 4-4 draw with Luton, but again, I think Newcastle should be taking this one fairly comfortably. I'm going to go for 2-0. I don't think Bournemouth are going to score, but we'll see. For me, it's going to be all about Newcastle. Next up, it is Nottingham Forest taking on West Ham. And West Ham, of course, with the biggest job of the Premier League this weekend, bouncing back from that 6-0 home defeat to Arsenal. And they take on a Forest side that are going to be full of confidence at the moment. And again, especially at home, they're going to back themselves as the favourites to win this one. And I'm not sure West Ham have really got it in them to get the result after what we saw last week. They're obviously going to be looking for a response, but that may leave them very vulnerable to the way Nottingham Forest like to play with the counter-attacking down the wide areas. So for me, I'm going to go for Nottingham Forest. I'm going to go for 2-1. West Ham desperately need to get Lucas Paqueta back fit again, because I think without him, their side has just really been falling apart recently. The final 3 o'clock kickoff sees Tottenham taking on Wolves, and huge injury news for Wolves this week with Mateus Cunha picking up a hamstring injury, which they've already confirmed will see him miss the remainder of the season. So that must be a really bad hamstring tear for him to miss the remaining 3.5 months of the season. So massive loss for Wolves. He's a massive part of how they play. Hwang Hee-chan should be back from the Asian Cup though, so it'll be interesting to see how they line up in terms of their front three with normally Cunha in the middle. Will they play Bellegarde up front with then Chan and Neto, or will they put Sarabia in the middle, or Neto in the middle, or Hwang in the middle? It'd be interesting to see how they line up without Cunha, but that drive, that running, that link-up is going to be missing, and I think it's a little bit too soon for them to be ready to play this game against Spurs without him missing. So I'm going to go for a Spurs win. I'm going to go for 3-1. I still think Wolves will score. The way that Tottenham play with that high line, it should leave opportunities for the likes of Hwang and Neto to get in behind. It's just whether or not that link-up's going to be there without Cunha in the middle and going the other way. Spurs with Son back themselves, also from South Korea, looking very dangerous once again. The final game on Saturday sees Manchester City taking on Chelsea in a repeat of what was the 4-4 game, one of the games of the season so far at Stamford Bridge earlier on this season. Don't get me wrong, I still think Chelsea are capable of hurting City once again in terms of attacking, but defensively, I think Manchester City are getting stronger and stronger and stronger. I believe it's 10 wins in a row since the turn of the new year. Classic Manchester City, it's what they always do at the start of the new year. They kick on, they go up a gear, and it is 10 wins in a row for them in all competitions since the turn of the year. And I'm going for 11 out of 11 as they take on Chelsea this weekend. I'm going to go for 4-1. I think they're just going to blow them away. Chelsea, it'll be interesting to see how Chelsea approach it. Will they try and attack them, or will they try and sit in? I think if they try and sit in, you're probably looking at more of like a 2-0 rather than a 4-1. But I have a feeling Chelsea are going to go for it because they don't know any better, to be honest with you. And I can see them scoring, but I can see them shipping a fair few as well. That then brings us on to Sunday, and the opening game on Sunday sees Sheffield United taking on Brighton and Hove Albion. Brighton, of course, very, very unlucky against Spurs at the weekend last time around. That 97th minute winner from Brennan Johnson for Tottenham, denying them. And Sheffield United with that very, very, very needed 3-1 win away at Luton Town. So both sides' confidences are going to be a little bit all over the place. Sheffield are going to be up for it. Brighton are going to be out for revenge after what happened in the Tottenham game. So it's going to be a tight one. I think both sides will feel they can get a result in this one. Whether or not Sheffield play a little bit more on the front foot after how they got on against Luton, Brighton, we know, are going to be open and free-flowing and trying to control the game. So for me, I think it depends who ends up being fit for Brighton. I think they're going to come out on top, and I'm going to go for a 2-1 win to Brighton in that one. But, like I say, if Sheffield played like they did against Luton, more than capable of getting the result in that one. Speaking of Luton, that then brings us to the main event slot of the weekend. The 4:30 game on Sunday is Luton Town against Manchester United. My family derby. As you can see, we've got the Luton and Manchester United scarf on the wall behind me. It is a big one. My family's club against my club. And it's tough to call because Luton have obviously been very good recently, but then they lost 3-1 at home to Sheffield United, which, after the performances they put in against so many of the big teams, both home and away, really just throws a spanner in their survival chances at the moment. Then you've got to look at Manchester United, 5 wins in a row, 4 of them in the Premier League. Rasmus Højlund scoring in 5 Premier League games in a row. It looks like Manchester United are really starting to build momentum. I obviously think Manchester United should win this game based on current form, but there is always going to be that slight concern that Luton's biggest asset is their strength from set plays, be those wide free kicks or those corners from Doherty, Barkley, Ogbene, etc. All those balls getting put into the box, and Manchester United's biggest weakness is defending those sort of things. Onana doesn't come out for crosses. We use this horrendous zonal defending I've spoken about a lot of times in my reaction videos. So I think Luton are definitely going to score goals in this game. It's just going to be a case of how many Manchester United get going the other way. And I am going to lean, as I always do, in favour of Manchester United, and I'm going to go for 3-2. That's just the way I see it. Luton will definitely do damage from set pieces, but I think Manchester United would do more damage when they attack. But it's going to be a close one. I think all 3 results are available, but fingers crossed. Very, very selfishly, apologies to the rest of the family, I hope Manchester United get the job done in this one. That then brings us to the Monday night football between Everton and Crystal Palace. And firstly, all the well wishes and whatnot to Roy Hodgson, who, well, quite frankly, looked like he was on the verge of being sacked and has now been rushed to hospital with a health scare. So not a good time for him at the moment. Not a good time for Crystal Palace at the moment, with the fans and the players all sort of down and demotivated at the moment. So it's the perfect time for Everton to strike. Football is a ruthless business, as we know. Everton are in desperate need of points. Palace are in desperate need of not being dragged into this relegation fight. But for me, This has just got an Everton win written all over it, and I'm going to go for 2-0 to Everton. That will conclude today's predictions video. So let me know all of your thoughts down in the comment section below. Thank you very much for watching as always. Don't forget to check out my reaction video to the Luton Manchester United game taking place on Sunday. Then we will have the Champions League predictions on Monday. Part 2 of Game Week 25 will be available on Tuesday, and then we will have our Europa League and Europa Conference League predictions on Thursday. Thank you very much for watching.